Salute, salute. Hello, everyone. Come on in. Come on in. Hit that like button on your way in if you don't mind. Appreciate your presence. Appreciate you being here. Knowing that your time is the most valuable resource that you have. So if you choose to share any of that with me today, I am grateful and appreciative. I'm going to be I'm going to be reacting to Kwame Brown's live this morning, at least a portion of his live. He was in his bag. He was definitely on one this morning. And I love when he gets into that mood because he really starts dropping some real facts and gems, things of value. And yeah, definitely had my ear this morning and provoked a lot of thought. And I thought we should talk about it. So again, just come on in and join us. Salute to everybody. And I want to say salute to some of my peoples. We got Bolo, we got Double Speaks, we got, even though she doesn't have a page, an active page yet, I want to say salute to Miss Genesis 1, salute to Earth Day, salute to Kwame Brown, salute to Garrick, Chavis, good salute to TJ, to Kevlo. Oh my goodness, the list goes on and on. Salute to Selena. Goodness, if I've forgotten you, forgive me. Still trying to memorize everybody and keep it in order. So come on in, and again, thank you for joining. And we're going to kind of get off into it. I'm not going to stay too terribly long unless anybody wants to hit the link after my commentary. But we'll just kind of go with the flow and see what happens. And if there's anyone in the chat, can you put a 1 if you can hear me okay? Put a 1 if you can hear me okay. Just want to make sure my volume levels are good and nobody has to strain to hear me. So fair use is in effect. I'm going to be playing the audio of a portion of Kwame's live this morning. Thank you, Game Dreamer 58. I appreciate that. Thank you for joining. So definitely I want to touch on it, and we'll just go ahead and get off into it. Is the music too loud, Game Dreamer 58, or is it at a good volume? If you can put a 1 for good volume or 2 if it needs to be adjusted, I appreciate it. I don't think it's too loud, but not really sure from this end or from your end how it's coming across. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and play a portion of the live. We're gonna start and then we'll just pretty much go from there. I'm trying to wait for a few people to come in. I got a feeling there's some other people live, so I will probably just go ahead and hit the replay to catch it from the beginning. I think you'll get some edification and some value.
This guy Stephen A came out of nowhere, just disrespecting everybody black, but he's friends with everybody white. I dare Stephen A to prove, since he always want to wear a black dashiki when everything go wrong, I dare Stephen A to ever say that he's friends with a black man that hit a black woman. I dare you, Stephen A. You got a lot of black friends. And I know some of them that made a mistake and pushed their girl or touched their girl, because now you can run from your girl and be too slow and you're going to go to jail.
Well, he came out swinging. So he was referencing Stephen A. And, you know, of course, kind of airing his grievances because there's some unresolved issues there, unanswered questions. And you know, he is getting ready to touch on actually the dynamic between the man and the woman, some of the issues and problems and complications between the two in a relationship. And yeah, he just gonna talk about it. So go ahead and I'm trying. I got to do the fair use, but I wish I didn't have to interrupt him because he definitely is in his bag.
So, Stephen A., I dare you to get on airways and say, that black man that hit a black woman, that's my friend. I dare you to do that. The same way you did that white man, Dana White, that slapped the hell out of his wife. I dare you to get up there and say, if you ain't pushing no agenda, if you ain't an agenda leftist bastard, because most of y'all just get up here and push agendas and attack the black male, acting like the white male don't do anything wrong.
Ooh, okay, I have to stop it. So he is calling Stephen A. Smith to the carpet, right? And he is telling Stephen A. Smith, you don't act the same depending on the color of the person. You are judgmental, and I think we all can allegedly come to some type of synopsis or conclusion that Stephen A. Smith has spent most of his career sabotaging and diminishing the value of a lot of the black players' contracts. And Kwame Brown feels that he was a catalyst to this type of commonality in treatment, it seems, because Stephen A. Smith has been on the airwaves for many of years with the same behavior and with the same objective. And he's been very successful, and he's been allowed to push that propaganda and to badmouth men that look like him. And the white man doesn't get that same treatment. So there was a clip where Stephen A. Smith, the day after Dana White allegedly struck his wife, and that was his best friend. But then he has managed to devalue men of color, their contracts, by something as minuscule in context as smoking weed. But when it came to talking about Dana White, that was his friend. Okay, turn the music down. Thank you. That was his friend, right? So Kwame is making reference to black men are treated differently than their counterparts. And they're catching it not just from their counterparts, but they're catching it largely too from what's supposed to be their counterpart in relationship, and that's their women.
I want y'all to see that nowhere in the media that Stephen A. Smith would have been safe if he would have befriended a black man who slapped a black woman. And none of y'all can tell me I'm lying. There's no fucking way Stephen A. ESPN would have been sued. Them black women would have canceled ESPN. They would have canceled Stephen A. Smith. They would have canceled everybody. So they got black women out here just to attack black men, in my opinion.
Okay, so there's a lot to unpack right there. Society, it's no secret how society is on an all-out campaign, in my opinion, to emasculate the black man, from the system being set up to where it eradicates and excludes the black man in the home, as the head of the family, as far as allegedly things being put in the foods, in the water, the air, the environment, to lower testosterone, to make men less aggressive by nature. They are aggressive, so it diminishes, it's designed to diminish that, not to mention the medications, the jab, etc., etc. You're talking from a cultural level to a environmental level, and to infiltrating and to affecting the basic goods and the basic necessities that are required in order to sustain life. There has been many, many years of investigation, of research, and as a result, implementation of things that have worked in order to devalue and to emasculate our black men. Hey, your thoughts. Thank you for coming in. Greetings to you, sis. Thank you. Hey, Genesis. Appreciate you. Yes, yes. Nice one with the like button. Amen. Appreciate y'all. Thank you for coming in. So I'm reacting to a portion of Kwame's live this morning, of his passion. And you can always tell when he's feeling some type of way about a particular topic, because that filter is gone. But I like it raw, uncut, and authentic, because it hits different, in my opinion, or it hits me different when it comes from him, and you know that he's meaning what he says and that he's assured of what he is saying. And so there being an all-out war against our black men, I think the frustration, or part of the frustration that is being heard in his voice, comes from the fact that, I think at the end of the day, our men don't expect that kind of opposition from their women. And now he's on the defense 24/7 because his safe space is not safe in a lot of instances. And in a lot of relationships, there's a lack of trust. There's such a competitive nature when you're supposed to be your most valued allies is the man and the woman. And then tying in his personal experience as well, when it comes to his personal relationships, tying all of those things into one compartment, it's got to be a lot. Because if a man doesn't feel like he has a safe space to go, then what would rationally be his motivation to propel, to fight? What would be his purpose? A man's purpose is designed to protect and provide. A woman's, by nature, we were built to nurture. And so with those things in mind, we each have a role and assignments that were provided to us by God and through his word, or a power higher than ourselves, whatever we believe in, whoever we believe in. We all should believe in something bigger than ourselves, right? So with all of these things being mentioned, now you have, from a quote unquote celebrity angle, Men that aren't accustomed to that type of notoriety, wealth, that kind of money going through their hands, dealing with a different level of society, feeling the weight of feeling like you're responsible for so many others because you made it and they didn't, quote unquote. So with all of these things in conjunction with one another, we have to really be concerned about our men and their ability to be able to withstand all of the pressures in this world.
Because no black woman gave a fuck about a white woman getting slapped. And I thought it was about women's rights. So it ain't about no all women's rights from what it seemed to me. Don't get mad at me for what I see. It seemed like everybody is grouping up, like I said at the beginning, and everybody is pushing agendas because a woman got slapped by a man. Enough said. But it seems like if you are a black man, you're the only man that it got to have a consequence or a repercussion.
Okay. The unfair treatment of our men. Men feeling like they can't even be pulled over for a traffic violation. Men that feel some type of way when they go into certain establishments. Thank you for coming on in, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Hey, C Child 35, welcome in. Men being in a position, like I said earlier, that now you're on the defense more than any other position that you play in life. That's exhausting. And we weren't designed to be in survival mode and on the defense 24/7. Men have to have a safe space. And I know people listening to this stream, whether it's live or on the replay, this is going to be controversial based on perspective, personal experiences, and training, I should say, for lack of a better word. But right now, my focus and my reaction is honing in on paying attention and being cognizant of the way we behave as women instead of tending to blame men. Men need grace. They need grace right now, and they need support. And when you've got the world against you and you don't even feel confident enough for many men to feel secure and trusting with their women, that's going to have a trickle-down effect, and things are not going to flow. Therefore, they will be out of order. And if things are out of order, there ensues chaos. And chaos and confusion are not of God. That's why I say things are out of order. Miss Your Thoughts made a very good statement. When men tell you how they feel, believe them. Miss Your Thoughts, you know what? First of all, we have to be willing to listen. We have to be willing to shut up and really just listen to what they have to say and internalize it and take ourselves out of it and not listen to respond, but listen to understand and empathize. You know, one of the most disturbing things for me on this app, when I look at panels, is how very few people in part of the sector that we're in, they never listen to one another. It's all about who's the loudest, who's the most vulgar, and how bad can those words hurt someone that they don't even know. This is an app. And but it also shows me that if you conduct yourself with ease into this app, then that means that's how you conduct yourself in real life. But you can look at the fruits of many of the people's labor on here, and that'll tell you the story without them having to say it, right? So we have to provide a safe space for our men if we expect for them to operate in their capacity and in order. I want to take a moment and I want to reference the Bible and a scripture I would like to share. Colossians chapter 3, verses 18 through 21. And this is the King James Version. And it says, "Wives, submit yourselves unto your own husband as it is fit in the Lord. Husbands, love your wives and be not bitter against them. Children, obey your parents in all things, for this is well pleasing unto the Lord. Fathers, provoke not your children to anger, lest they be discouraged." The one thing that I can tell you right off the bat about those scriptures is that they are in order. Everybody from top to bottom is being listed, and the priority of the scripture is listed in the order that is designed from importance. Even though they're all important, there is an order. And we absolutely have to speak life into one another. Now that brings me to the subject of respect. You know, without respect, to me, there's no relationship. At least not from a good standpoint. Without respect, everything else is going to suffer. And so whether there's passive aggressiveness, whether there's just outright aggressiveness in the relationship, whatever the case may be, that includes a lack of respect, nothing else is going to flow, and it definitely will not flow in order. If you look at all of the other cultures, there's an order in their family structure. And that is very telling. And I don't know how we don't see it as a collective to the point where we put away childish things and get to the matters of business at hand. Because I don't know if anybody else has noticed or if they're taking it seriously. But the days that we are living in are critical, and they're prophesied. And no matter what your beliefs are from a spiritual perspective, I think we can all agree that we are living in times that are unprecedented. And there's a lot of power and there's a lot going on from a spiritual standpoint, and the weapons that we are dealing with are not carnal. They're with the spiritual eye, which has to be developed. It has to be exercised. It has to be regularly exercised. Going back to the Colossians chapter 3, verse 18 scripture, first, it talks about wives submitting to our own husbands as it is fit in the Lord. Without a wife submitting to her husband, that will cause bitterness, which is verse 19, where it says, husbands, love your wives and be not bitter against them. Without a love, and just because you submit doesn't mean that you become a man's slave, but you do have a specific responsibility in the relationship. And without your cohesiveness, it is going to be out of order. Children, obey your parents in all things, for this is well-pleasing unto the Lord. Children are going to be a result of the example and the cohesiveness that the parents exhibit. Fathers, provoke not your children to anger, lest they be discouraged. That's self-explanatory. We don't want to kill our children's spirit or break our children's spirit. We want to uplift them. But it takes balance, and it takes a mother and a father. And in my opinion, that's the natural order of things.
But a white man does something that's logical. Okay, he got hit. Nobody wants to be hit. He might have struck back. They had logic for that situation. But what do they tell black men? Under no circumstance do you ever raise your hand at a black woman like she's our God. Under no circumstance. That means she can have a knife, a gun, a bat. She could be beating your kids. Under no circumstance you hit a woman. But they had enough logic for Dana White to say, well, shit, she hit him first.
Dana White has he created a whole new sport after that incident where he has gained a lot of wealth off of. I think it was a slapping sport or something like that to that effect. So where a black man would have been incarcerated, and a book thrown at him and all kind of, residuals once he comes out of jail. Now you're not going to be able to get a job. You got domestic violence. You got this, you got that. And that has not been Dana White's story. So again, women, looking at it from that vantage point, what is it worth to us? What are our men worth? What are our children worth? What is our family worth? I don't see any value in life without family. I don't. My purpose, even though my purposes are ever evolving, in my opinion, depending on the season in my life, family is always the constant. But again, there's a natural order of things. Hey, True Essence, thank you for coming in. It's beautiful. Appreciate you. So yeah, it's just one of those things where we really have to get raw and we have to get truthful with ourselves, and we have to figure this thing out, because without the core family, we in trouble, y'all. I just can't say it no other way. This is not a good, it's not going to be a good outcome, because it's out of order.
How the fuck can we be kings if the scale is tipped that fucking far? You can't compete against no white boy that can discipline everybody, and we can't discipline nobody. No woman, our children, nobody.
Now, that's real talk. You want to emasculate a man faster than anything? Take his natural tendencies and propensities away from him and tell him it's unnatural. Not only is it unnatural, but it's punishable. What do you think a man is going to do? The first thing that comes to my mind is it has the potential to break his spirit. And once a spirit is broken, there's a lot that doesn't register to him after that. Where does the motivation come from? Where does the fight to keep going, to keep moving? The most important thing to a Black man should be his Black woman, in my opinion. But we have to raise men. We have to reassure them that it's okay and that there's nothing wrong with their natural tendencies and what's built inside of them, what they were born with. As women, we can only empathize, but we can't really understand. And so that's where the submission comes and it falls into play. Because we have to know when to be quiet. We have to know when to stand up in strength, in spirit. We have to learn how to communicate effectively without emasculating them or making them feel like they're being ostracized or disciplined. We're here to collaborate and not compete. These things take work. They take dedication. They take sacrifice. I remember Miss Yodat saying the last time we spoke, she says, no, you love your spouse, but it requires a lot more than that to be married 30, 40 years. My parents were married until they passed away, until my mother became a widow. They took their vows very seriously. And that was the relationship that taught me, in my mind, what relationships are supposed to look like. That's a very, very important role. It's a very important concept in order for the family to even be in a position to gain any strength as a unit. We live in such a narcissistic society that you got the women walking around thinking they don't need no man, and you got the men that are scared of the women because the world that we're living in and the culture that we live in is not pro-man. It's to me, it is designed to break the man down. That's right, Miss Yodat's faith without works is dead. It takes work for anything worth having. And a marriage and a union is no different. I hear the passion in Kwame's voice. I'm telling you, it resonates differently when you can tell it's coming from the ebb of his soul. He's not just doing content. He is testifying, and he is yelling in the best way he knows how to try to get people's attention of how dire this is, how important this is, and how we are sabotaging our own families. We're not just sabotaging our relationships. We are sabotaging the life of what God brought us here to accomplish, to work through. This is how nations are built and have been built. We don't have any power because we don't have our families as a unit, as a whole.
If we ever get aggressive, we go to jail. If we ever get aggressive, we toxic. How the fuck can we compete and be a king if you turn us into a bunch of pussy? The moment we say it's time to kick ass, we go to jail.
And that's a whole issue in itself, because parents and mothers and fathers that have sons, that is a whole situation. It is super uncomfortable to sit down, because I've done it with more than one child, to sit down and have to Teach them survival skills. And then when they ask why, because when they look around them, everybody else or a lot of other people of their peers are not going through the same things that they're going through. Now they're confused and they're asking all kinds of questions. Can you imagine how much more multiplied that confusion is when you've got sons looking at their mother and their father, looking at their mother running their father, disrespecting him, cutting him down with words, killing his spirit because she's unhappy, and the tongue is the sword, right? I got you, Genesis. Now you have indoctrinated and you have molded children before they can even become men and figure out what being a man is all about. We are sabotaging our families, and your thought said it, generations. This is a trickle down effect. Y'all, I am kind of nervous doing this live today because I'm fighting being emotional. That's how passionate I am about family. And we have to start really telling some hard truths on why we are where we are as a people. We got to get it together. We have to get out of ourselves. And you want to talk about survival? We absolutely have to start focusing on things outside of ourselves. And though we can raise healthy children, there's nothing like having a well-balanced family with the masculine and feminine energy as a balance to raise. It took that to procreate. What makes you think that that doesn't need to be maintained until they become adults and able to navigate this world on their own?
What are they using all these groups for? Why do we have to have so many fucking groups? I thought a woman got hit. Enough said. There's no reason to hit a woman, but there's an asterisk by it. That's a black woman to control that black man. So now it's women that can stomp and beat the hell out of a nigga. And you know, if you a nigga and you go get a white woman, you better run. And you better be faster than goddamn Jonathan Majors.
Liza Jean, your timing is impeccable, because that's exactly what he touched on just now without saying it. And that's talking about feminism. I was influenced by it as well. And back then, I always knew that there was a proper order of things because I was raised biblically inclined. I was taught the Bible. So I knew right from wrong. However, my situation said different. Some of my life's experiences came out outside of structure and Bible scripture. And man, they say hindsight is 20/20. The downside of that, though, is that we can't go back and change it. The upside and the solution part of all of this, though, is that we can start from here and now. And when we know better, we do better. So thank you for making that statement, because a lot of us aren't going to admit that out loud. You made it okay to say, you know what, because it has been very strong. And without the alphabet community, it's still evolving. Even in spite of it, it just doesn't get the focus that the alphabet community is getting at this point. So Now it has developed and it has evolved to the point where, like Kwame said, you can't even really raise your voice around a woman without it becoming a possible issue. Much less lead, much less correct, much less be able to discipline and love or teach. We have to be open. We have to be willing. But I will say, on the flip side of that, to be extremely fair and transparent, that women, we have to choose a man that will lead properly and that we will trust, because we're not going to submit to people we don't trust. And trust is a big factor, right?
So ain't gonna be no black man king. That's why every movie, women kicking ass. Yeah, every movie, the black man is obsolete when it comes to violence. They won't even let you see a violent black man on camera no more. Ain't no black man in the last movie in the last 2 years can kick no ass. All the women are kicking ass.
The women got on armor with shields and swords and ARs, and the men got on dresses. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. What's up is down and what's down is up. So we got men wearing, and I'm not saying, I haven't seen any white men do it, but most of the, or all of the ones that I have seen in Hollywood have been black. And then I went to a friend's house Thanksgiving last year and watched She King in her house. I couldn't even sit and watch the whole thing because I was floored about the message that movie was sending. I read between the lines and look beneath the surface because I understand that movies allegedly are predictive programming. Hey, Juicy Fruit, welcome. Thank you for coming in. And so it is being pushed through every source of media and being controlled with the specific and targeted agenda to weaken our men and to exalt our women, which is a false reality because men physically are stronger and their instincts are wired differently for survival than ours. So again, we are out of order. I'm not going to be looking for no other woman to protect me and my family when all hell breaks loose before I'm looking for a big, strong, able-bodied man. I'm not going to trust that process. I don't know about nobody else, to each his own, but that ain't how I roll.
Women are fighting all the goddamn male white superheroes. The males are cowering down and needing help. I'm not from a neighborhood like that. I'm from a neighborhood that if women got violated, they came and got them boys. They came and got those fucking men. I don't know what neighborhood you niggas come from, but when women got violated, they came and got them boys. But now they're going to get women? Is that what we said? Now in y'all neighborhoods, when a woman get violated, we going to get other women?
Talk about out of order. Ooh, child. He don't really need no ad lib on that one. That's pretty self-explanatory. So yeah.
The fuck out of here. You going to get them niggas. Them boys gonna do their thing when a woman feel violated. They won't even show you a strong man on TV no more. That's how much they want to breed resistance out of black males.
And they're being very successful at it. I remember growing up in the neighborhood I lived in, well, at least my early childhood, I lived in a pretty, active neighborhood, I should say. It was I was I was defending myself going to school sometimes in the morning. So it was, like I said, in my younger years, it was pretty rough. But I remember whenever something popped off, I didn't go home and talk to my mama. The only thing I would say to my mama is, "Where is my daddy? I need my daddy." The men handled the business in the neighborhood. When stuff popped off and shit got real, men showed up and dealt with one another. You didn't see a lot of women. I'm not saying it didn't happen, but it's commonplace now. But back then, if you saw a woman, she was quiet and she was standing behind her man unless he needed her specifically for something. I don't know when that became to the point where it's not okay. So if a woman isn't equal or competing with a man, then a lot of the women don't feel valuable. But we weren't made to compete with men. We were designed to yoke with one another.
They only want you to show violence against each other. They'll show you that shit on TV all day. Niggas shooting that nigga. They'll tell you about a rap beef every fucking day. There's a rap beef. They're telling you what the only people you can beef with. But y'all don't hear me. Y'all gonna keep watching movies where y'all women are so caught up in your fucking egos that they let y'all believe that you're stronger than a goddamn man in a physical sense.
Case in point, I just talked about She King, right? So perfect, even though there are many more, for some reason that one sticks out in my head because it was too obvious and too apparent for me not to. I couldn't even finish the movie. I was feeling some type of way because I knew prior to that I was sick of seeing Tyler Perry in a dress. I remember when I first started watching it, I thought it was hilarious. But you're talking 15 so years in and you still wearing this dress? And you're making all of this money and now you're comfortable in it. And now I'm watching Martin Lawrence. Oh my goodness, this list at least back then was a little bit shorter. He was Big Mama. There was quite a few. My brain process is a little slower, but I'm sure y'all can finish my sentence. So Michelle Fox says, unfortunately, we have been taught to, I think you wanted to say compete with men. Yes, we have been, but it's all part of the agenda to weaken the man. It runs deep. I didn't realize how deep it ran until I had sons. And I had to unlearn and relearn some behaviors that I was taught in my household with my parents. So, and again, like Miss Liza Jean is saying, now we've got social media. And while the parents are working and trying to make a way and set them up financially and maintain, we got social media raising our kids. And I don't mean everybody, I'm generalizing. I remember I got my first cell phone. I was 24 years old, probably telling my age, but that ain't no secret. It was unheard of for a child to have a cell phone. Back then we had beepers. And I don't remember seeing too, unless if you had a beeper and you were under the age of 18, they thought you was doing something you ain't have no business. If you know, you know. So social media definitely is playing a part, a huge part. And then the music industry is hitting from every direction and it's starting from when the kids are small and young and impressionable. And in the world we living in, the objective is to keep us scrambling on this hamster wheel so we don't have time to pour out into our families. And if we can take the fathers out of the home, now the children are alone, so we can raise them through social media, through computers, through outside influence, that the parents don't have time because they're trying to keep a roof over the family's head.
They letting you believe, Carissa Shields, that you can knock out a goddamn man in a ring when a man will knock your fucking head off.
Somebody lied to that woman. I'm just gonna say it. I don't know if she's allegedly on something that changed the composition of her brain, but when I saw her genetic makeup and talking about going up against a man, I was done. I'm like, this has to be a play. This has to be some fake stuff. I don't know. I still don't know if I believe that, but it's doing what it was designed to do at the very least, and that's penetrate the psyche of women to think that they're equal to men, and first of all, and that they are competitive with men. Now, I don't know. I have a son that's over 6 feet. He's young. He's still a young teenager. And we've always been physically playful, interactive wise, up until last year when he started lifting weights and playing multiple sports. Let me just say, we don't play no more. Okay? And he doesn't even know his own strength. So the density of men's bones is a lot thicker than women, which means they can withstand a lot more pressure and impact than we can. So we were designed to do everything that a man does, then why weren't we built like a man? Welcome in, Ben Frank. Thank you for coming in. Peace and blessings.
I ain't even no goddamn boxer, but I guarantee you I connect one time, you wouldn't even want to see the result. So that's sad that we got people actually out here preaching this dumb shit. I respect all women in their essence. I don't believe that there's no one greater than the other, because in certain situations, I want a woman's perspective and a woman's perspective only. And in certain situations, I need a male and a man perspective and a man perspective only. This ain't a time for talk no more.
Ooh, he's right. I don't need to ad-lib a lot on that. As women, we have our role and the responsibilities. And as men, they have theirs. And like, can't no man come to me and ask me for help to go change a tire or to change the oil or to change brakes on a car. I'm not going out there and digging up concrete. Just like I don't think, if a man is expected to go outside the home to provide and to protect, then we as women, we're supposed to take care of the home, in my opinion and in my experience.
This is the time for strategizing and figure out how to get done when we said don't cross this line no more. I need to talk to men at this point. And we both supposed to be respected on that shit. But what we're doing is we trying to cancel out the other. No. We men, so we better than you all the time. We make all decisions. Bullshit lie.
Yeah, this system is not set up for the men to make not our men to make all the decisions. So I'm not going to play too much more. I did want to, because he kind of wraps it up a little bit after that, and I feel like his point has gotten across. But I know on the title I put open panel. If anybody would like to come up and collab and I would love to hear any perspective or any additional value that can be brought to the conversation. So again, salute to everybody that's here. You come on in. If you haven't already, just tap that like button. If there's anybody that you think would be able to benefit from any of the information that's being talked about and discussed, you can tap that share button. I want to say salute to everybody in the chat. Miss Your Thoughts, Miss Genesis One, Miss Liza Jean, Ben Frank, C Childs, 35, Miss Juicy Fruit. If y'all are still here, thank you so much and salute. If not, feel free to come back and catch the replay. I'm going to wait a few minutes to see if anybody will hit the link, but I'm going to play just a little bit more of what he's got to say.
You got women roaring in the background. No. We women, we smarter than all y'all. Bullshit lie. All you got to do is tickle your emotions, and you can't make one decision to save your goddamn life, your children's life, or nobody's fucking life. So we need men to understand they men and don't compete with women. And women to understand that they women and stop fucking competing with men. And try to work together, because that's the only fucking way it works.
That's the only way it's going to work. And that's it in a nutshell. That's the only way it is going to work. You know, I've been looking at a couple of, when I'm able to chime in on the chats, a lot of the adversity that's going on is between male and female. If we can't find peace and a middle ground and forgiveness and provide some type of grace on a superficial level, how are we going to ever be able to do it when it applies to real life and real life situations where you got real life feelings with real life consequences behind those actions, depending on who makes what move next? We have got to look at this thing differently and to reevaluate what's important. And I want to emphasize again that family should be, if you have the ability and you choose to exercise procreation, and even if you don't, you have been procreated into existence. So that means you're tied to somebody. And that means you have family. We have to understand how vital to not just survival, but thriving that is. We have to quit minimizing and thinking that we can do everything on our own. And even if this system is structured to the point where it gives us the illusion that we can, why should we? That shit is hard. It is hard pulling the toil, the till, and doing everything alone, because we miss stuff that our partner will catch, that another set of eyes, ears, and brain will catch. We have to realize the importance. It's not money. It's not even anything superficial or external. It's family. When God created Adam and Eve, according to the Bible, they were naked. They were not born or created in a house with cars, with furniture, a running dishwasher. They were created in their essence. And all they had was each other outside of God. That was it. There's power in that. Forgiveness is such a powerful emotion and a decision that with lack of forgiveness, there's nothing else, because nothing else is going to be real. I don't all of this is off the top of my head, so I didn't really plan or orchestrate a structured live. My spirit has been speaking to me, and then when I heard Kwame and I heard the passion in his voice, I don't make it a habit to do reactions off of him, but I had to respond to this because it resonated with me so loudly in spirit. And if you just listen to him, his voice is so powerful and so intentional. And so I just want to say I'm not going to make this a long live. We're right at an hour. In the description box, there is a link to Kwame's live this morning. There's also links to some of our content or I tried to reach most of our, especially our new content creators. Please sub up to Bolo. Bolo is so entertaining. He's such a natural at this, and I wish he's live like 23 hours out of a 24-hour day. I can't. It takes preparation just for me to try to do an hour. So I take a salute to Bolo for being able to do that with the thumbnails, with the content, with the execution, with multitasking with his job and doing lives. I just, man, salute. Double speaks with his own style and his own niche, and the fact that he's pretty consistent with going in the morning, so people are pretty on schedule when it comes to him. And he's touching on, I love the fact that a lot of our content creators are thinking outside the box and not necessarily just confined within one train of thought, right? Yes, that's right, Genesis 1. Thank you. Let me go back a little bit. I get in my bag sometimes, and I don't want to miss the chat. Ms. Liza Jean said, "I love listening to godly women and men." Amen. Me too. Me too. The Spirit feeds me a lot more than anything else. God's word, and that's just for me. Thank you, Genesis. So yes, Bolo is fantastic. Amen. Miss, your thoughts? TJ and Garrett, I mean, if you want to go for a whole bunch of laughs with some gems dropped in it, they took a page out of Kwame's book, in my opinion, or the other way around, since TJ is the older brother. I don't know, but I'm glad that it's contagious. Either way it goes, I don't want to get corrected. If TJ's listening, I could just see him. I'm the older brother. He got that from me, Mr. Kimmy. I just see it. So yes, I've been catching Miss Earth Day's lives. I love her delivery and the vibe. I really don't know how else to explain it, but she has a calming voice as well. Miss Selena's, I've subbed up to her, but I gotta definitely start chiming into some of her uploads and her lives before I catch her on her new ones, because I wanna get some history on her. But I'm definitely subbed up. So Mr. Odidum Speaks, I know his page is new, him and Mel W, but they have some great informational content, and they're still building their pages. So please go and support. And again, these links should be in the description of the video. So anybody that I've missed, charge it to my head and not my heart. I don't want to be too long-winded. I see that's okay. Nobody wants to come up this time. It's perfectly fine. I got some things that I probably can take care of and get them done early anyway. So I appreciate everybody for being here. Thank you for people that, commented in the chat. I appreciate the ones that have stayed during the live. Hopefully, I was able to stir your spirit and plant some seeds and give some provoking thoughts. I don't profess to know it all. I know very little in life's context. However, what I do know, I like to share, and I feel obligated to share with others. And that is the original reason why I started my YouTube page. And so, with that being said, if I have forgotten anything, um, I guess I'll live through it. But I love y'all. Thank you again for joining me. And I may go live because there's another topic. This was actually impromptu. There's another live that I actually have planned about the migrant situation. And I don't know if people realize how serious our migration situation is in this country and all of the different threats and trickle down possibilities, more than likely than not, of how negatively we're going to be affected, if something is not done sooner than later. So if I don't do it today, depends on how busy these YouTube streets are, then I will probably post it or go live in the morning. Miss Your Thoughts, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Your presence always, it encourages me and calms me. And so I just thank you for being here. You, Miss Genesis One, Miss Liza Jean, all of you. I don't want to leave anybody out. Miss Juicy Fruit, thank you so much for subbing up and coming in and joining. And I know I started a little bit late today, but Biz, I didn't want to. I know Genesis was like, I could push the replay button, but he was just so close to the end. I was just like, okay, ain't nobody looking for me. I can be a few minutes late, right? So, yes. So with that being said, y'all, again, I know I've had probably about 5 benedictions and conclusions, but this time for real, for real. Ms. Liza Jean says migrant issue is very serious. No, we got to talk about that. We do have to talk about that. It might be more than, it's going to be a couple of part series of videos because there's no way I'm going to be able to touch on everything in one video without it being 9 hours. So, but those are very prevalent topics that have to be talked about because we have to position ourselves and prepare ourselves for what's to come as a result of these migrants coming into this country at the alarming rate, exhausting a lot of the resources, and for the system and the government to just be so cavalier with our tax money when we have such a serious and dire homeless situation in this country, and people that need resources and help, and it doesn't make sense. But it makes sense if you know why they're doing it, and that's why I want to touch on that subject and delve into the different reasons why allegedly they could be doing it or what makes sense, right? So again, thank y'all for coming in, and enjoy the rest of your day. Peace and blessings to everybody. Much love, and I'm out. I'll talk to y'all soon.